Hey everyone, it's Annalisa with Journey to the Goddess TV, where I regenerate ancient feminine wisdom for modern women. Welcome to today's Goddess Talk 101, and the subject is, what does goddess mean? Before we get into the video, don't forget to hit like, to subscribe to the channel, to leave a comment, and hit the little bell icon if you want to be updated as to every time I post a new video. So when you hear the word goddess, what comes to mind for you? What does goddess actually mean? Well, the dictionary definition of goddess is literally a female deity or god. But still, could mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. So today I'm going to explore what goddess means to me from 3 different perspectives. So the first is the more macrocosmic, cosmological, feminine principle energy of goddess. There is the more deity worship, where the goddess has individual personas, and that's probably more commonly what people think of when they think of goddesses. And then the third level is actually the archetypal, the more generalized energies or qualities or symbolisms that goddesses or gods represent, and how then humans can actually embody that energy. So from the macrocosmic cosmological perspective, the goddess to me means life with a capital L. So let me explain. I really get my concept of goddess at this level from the Hindu Shaivism tradition. And in this tradition, the way I understand it, there's this balance between the masculine and feminine energies at the most expansive cosmic level as Shiva and Shakti. And together, these two energies are in constant play and dance and dialogue with one another throughout the cosmos and the seen and the unseen worlds. Shiva is the masculine principle of conscious awareness, and Shakti is the feminine principle of power. It can be translated as power into English. So she is literally the flow. This power that Shakti represents is the flow of movement, moving through all of creation. As Sally Kempton says in her book, Awakening Shakti, which I will leave a link to in the text box in the reference section. When you're breathing, you're literally breathing in and out the energy of Shakti's flow. They're energies, so they belong to all of us. They're in all of the created and manifest and unmanifest world. So we all embody the energies of Shiva Shakti from this perspective. I differ from more common perceptions of the feminine and masculine energies. Now, the feminine and masculine energies can be divine, or they can be more secularized as energies. So for me, because of my understanding of Shakti as power and flow and movement, I see the feminine as more active, and the masculine, which is this conscious awareness, as more receptive. Whereas more commonly, the feminine is perceived of as receptive and the masculine is active. And in truth, I would also be willing to argue that both the feminine and masculine each individually have the receptive and active qualities. But that's a video for another time. So that's the very basic cosmological principle of the feminine, of the goddess as life. So I also get this concept of the goddess as life, capital L, from really the work of Marija Gimbutas, the archaeomythologist Marija Gimbutas, who I talk about a lot in my videos. And she had quite a few controversial theories about the old Europeans, the Neolithic and even Paleolithic peoples that inhabited Eurasia. And she believed that they worshipped this kind of great goddess that they saw manifest in all of nature and all of creation, and that she was immanent. Her life force was immanent in all of nature, the earth, plants, animals, people. Right? So there's an interconnectedness, a reciprocity. And this is also a big part of earth-based spiritualities. And if you know the work of Starkhawk or paganism, then you'll know about the concept as the divine immanent in earth. Now, that doesn't always mean that every earth-based spirituality tradition believes that it's feminine. There's also obviously the masculine principle in nature too. But we know earth is oftentimes perceived of as a nurturing nurturing, destroying mother. So these are the dual concepts that I'm thinking of when I think of this grander macrocosmic goddess as life. Number two, the more common concept of goddess is the goddess as a actual individualized being or entity. This is where we start to see the goddesses as individual personalities or representing specific qualities or even anthropomorphized aspects of nature. So going back to the concept of Shakti for a second in the Hindu tradition. So Shakti is commonly known as the one and the many. So she has her cosmic feminine principle aspect, but she also has her individualized personalities when she manifests in different forms and different goddesses. Lakshmi, Parvati, Kali, Saraswati. There are so many. So this is the interplay between the cosmic and then the individualized Shakti. This is also where we can find different patterns, goddesses with similar qualities that show up in different traditions, like goddesses of love, for example. We have Venus from the Roman tradition, Aphrodite from the Greek tradition, Oshun from the Yoruban tradition. And then we also have anthropomorphized versions of nature. So like Lilith, the Hebrew Lilith, for example. When we trace her roots back all the way up through ancient Mesopotamia, she appears as this wind storm spirit called Lil. Okay, so she really embodies these destructive qualities. And then by the time that she travels down into, Hebrew tradition and folklore, she becomes this demoness figure. She's not quite a goddess in the same way that a Venus or a Lakshmi or an Oshun is, but she still has this supernatural quality to her and this feminine persona. And so the cool thing about these deities is, depending on the person or the tradition, you might approach them differently. This is where I would talk about the goddess as an ally. So some people, like my friend Roz Carlos, who I always interview, she's pagan. So we talk a lot about these deities as actual individual entities. They're actual living presences that can be approached, that can be prayed to, that you can call on as an ally, as a friend, either to help you in a situation or to appease them in some way if you're a devotee of a specific deity. Or maybe you want to call on them to help you embody certain qualities. So there's multiple ways in which you can approach these deities as actual beings, or they can be related to as just representing symbolic qualities that you want to embody. And so that, again, is up to the tradition and the individual person. The third way that I understand goddess is as an archetypal energy. What is an archetype? For me, and I'm influenced by Jungian perspectives of the archetype, an archetype is a universal energy pattern that resides in the collective unconscious. And that pattern can arise in a culture or an individual's psyches in different ways. So again, back to the example of the love goddesses. So there's an energetic pattern or quality of feminine love, of feminine sexuality, of feminine sensuality that seems to arise in different cultures with a different name and with a different image, sometimes with different qualities attached to them. You have Inanna and Ishtar from Mesopotamia and Babylon. They are love goddesses, but they're also goddesses of war. So you don't really see that with Venus, although her partner, Mars, is a god of war. So that, to me, is where the pattern has shifted a little bit. She still has an association with war, but she doesn't embody the war qualities. So the key idea here is embodiment. You, me, all of us embody different qualities of gods or goddesses. Like Durga, for example, from the Hindu tradition, I love to call on her when I'm looking to embody more confidence and more decisiveness. She, comes in with her sword and she kills the demons. And she has this wonderful quality of the paradox of being both graceful and very fierce. There's another aspect of goddess embodiment that's a little bit more nuanced. And I personally am really intrigued by this concept that goddess and god energies, these archetypal energies, they're a part of us. And so these energies are actually playing themselves out through us, through our human dramas and interactions with one another. James Hillman talks about that in a much more in-depth manner in his book, which I will link below. And then, of course, there's many more nuances depending on the tradition of calling on gods and goddesses to enter you via trance. We won't go into that. That's not Goddess 101. That's more advanced levels of goddess talk. Just to reiterate, there are 3 things that I'm talking about when I say goddess. There's macrocosmically, goddess as life, capital L. There's goddess as deity, goddess as ally. And then there's the 3rd level, goddess as archetypal energy that we can embody. Thank you everyone for being here with me today for this goddess talk. Let me know what a goddess means to you, because it might mean something completely different. How does she show up? How do you embody her? Do you embody her? Can a woman be a goddess? Literally, I'm not going to answer that question today, but I'd like to hear your thoughts. And when you leave comments, sometimes it gives me ideas for videos. So thank you everybody for joining me on my first Goddess 101 talk. I hope it was interesting and informative. If you liked the video, please hit like, please subscribe, please leave a comment, share this video with your friends. And if you want to join me in conversation live every Friday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I co-host a room called Everyday Goddess on Clubhouse. And if you want to support the channel and have access to things like behind the scenes footage, then join my Patreon account, which is linked below. All right, everyone. Thanks. Until next time. Ciao.